felt like she was entering some medieval ghetto. She walked along a narrow alleyway and skirted an open sewage ditch. She remembered Ed Wark's advice to stay strong, but now he was dead and she wasn't sure how she would get out of this place. She coughed into her white cotton handkerchief, opening it to reveal flecks of blood. She felt sore and her back ached. Despite requesting medical assistance repeatedly, no one had come to see her. She couldn't see any future outside of the camp anymore. On the way back from the medical station she passed tens of dozens of one- and two-room houses, each leaning on the other for support. This was a city without streets, sidewalks, gardens, patios, trees, flowers, plazas, or shops, and inhabited by an uprooted, stateless, scattered people in a tragic diaspora. She passed scores of small children, the third generation of refugees born in the camp. She entered the door of a dwelling, only distinguishable to her eyes from hundreds of others like it. There were two women on their hands and knees, both in shirts and pants, scrubbing a concrete floor. They rose, one somewhat laboriously, heavy with child, and the other, a young mother of two, a woman made old before her time by endlessly making do in a makeshift home, a home that is only this room with a concrete floor and blankets stacked against the walls for beds. And, for a toilet, a closeted hole in the floor. This woman had never known the convenience of a tub or a commode, nor had any members of her family enjoyed that greatest of all luxuries, a room or even space into which one can for an hour or a few moments of each day retire, and in solitude meld mind, body, and soul. The widow looked at the heavily pregnant woman.
"Hello Sarah, how are you today?"
she asked wearily.
"I'm fine, tired but okay. This one is getting heavy though,"
she said, rubbing her tulip bulbous tummy. Jack entered behind the widow, his face dark, the shadowy perimeter of his head illuminated by the light of the midday sun. He stole his way into the half-light of the windowless dwelling and pecked Sarah on the cheek. Putting his arm around her he looked to the widow.
"Are you feeling any better?"
"No, they still have not sent anyone to examine me. I am coughing blood now. I feel terrible."
"Bastards, they must send someone soon. I fear for my child. My son cannot be born here, Jack, it can't happen."
"Sarah, please."
The silent lady, still scrubbing the floor of their collective home, looked up disapprovingly. She shook her head, stood up and walked out into the daylight.
"It will be okay, baby. My man came through. I have a surprise for you."
Jack guided Sarah to their portion of the room as the widow settled into her bed, curled up into a fetal ball.
"Look,"
Jack said, removing a MacBook Pro from his khaki knapsack. Sarah pushed the circular switch and the machine began to glow like a deep-sea fish in the perennial gloom of the tent.
"I will just log into the camp Wi-Fi, and we can begin to send the emails that we have been dreaming of all these months."
"Oh Jack, finally some hope."
Jack opened Safari and logged into his Hotmail account and clicking new message, he began to type.
"Dear sir, permit me to inform you of my desire of going into business. I have acquired your name and contact details from the Chamber of Commerce and Industry. My name is Jack Thompson, the only son of the late King Eroy of tribal land. My father was a very wealthy traditional ruler, poisoned to death by his rivals in a conflict over leadership and the distribution of tribal wealth. Before his death in Togo he called me to his sickbed and confided in me, informing me of a trunk box containing an unimaginable wealth. It was because of this private wealth that he was poisoned by his fellow tribesmen. I have fled my tribe with the riches and I now seek a foreign partner to whom I can transfer the proceeds for investment as you may advise. I am willing to offer you a reasonable percentage of the total sum as a compensation for your efforts, and will provide cover for all of your expenses regarding this matter. Anticipating to hear from you soon. Thanks and God bless. Jack Thompson." "Okay Sarah, that's me. You next. Remember what we talked about?"
Yes, I know,"
Sarah said as she took the MacBook and sat it on her lap. She opened up her Gmail account. New message.
"My dearest, with deep sorrow and tears in my eyes I write to you. I know that this message might come to you as a surprise because we have not met each other before. I am Sarah Angbosen, 21 years old. and the only daughter of the late Dr. Angbosen Watra, a successful businessman. He was an importer and exporter of cocoa during his lifetime, but he was killed in a recent crisis in Côte d'Ivoire. All his properties were totally destroyed. My father deposited money in the ADB Bank of Burkina Faso with my name as the next of kin. I wish to request your assistance in investing this sum in a lucrative venture or manufacturing and real estate management project in your country. The amount stored in ADB Bank is unimaginable. I need you to help me begin my investment in your country. I require your assistance in the transfer of the fund to an account in your country. My father was warned by his bankers before he died that this would be the only way to successfully export our financial interests overseas. The bank will not release the money to me until I am 30 years, so I urgently require someone who will stand as my trustee to enable the bank transfer. I will gladly give you some reasonable percent from the total sum for your assistance. It is important you contact me immediately to clarify the next step so we can reach a smooth conclusion. Also, I would like to move to your country following this procedure. You could help me look for a good university where I can complete my studies, awaiting your immediate response. Thanks for your understanding. Yours sincerely, Miss Sarah Angbosen.
As Sarah's elegant fingers executed the finishing keystrokes to her pleading email, a man and a woman dressed in white and green flapped their way into the tent.
The widow? Where is the widow? The librarian.
Jack gestured to the pile of cloth and fleece in the corner. The men rushed to the mound and carefully removed the now unconscious widow from her sleeping nest. Her skin seemed unusually translucent, her face twisted into a yellow mask of pain as the ambulance warden carried her from the tent in his arms. The green lady began to gather some of the woman's belongings together into a bag before she too followed her partner out of the tent, into the ambulance and away.